Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation TV with your host, Jeff Charles. In less than 2 weeks, American voters will decide which party controls the House and the Senate. The odds appear to be in favor of the Republicans, but as they say, anything can happen. Democrats seem to be going all in on the abortion issue, but is this what Americans are really concerned about? Well, I have with me Liberty Nation's managing editor, Mark Angelides, to help answer that question. Welcome to the program, Mark.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff. Good to be here.
Awesome. It's great to be here, isn't it?
Let's not go that far. It's really good to be here, but I'm not sure about great yet. We'll see how the questions go.
Yeah. We'll see if we can rise up to the level of greatness.
Absolutely.
Now, you recently wrote a piece for Liberty Nation in which you discussed how the Democrats are continuing to focus on abortion. Now, can you just give us like a quick overview of that situation?
Yeah, so I refer to it as a circular firing squad in terms of their messaging and policy platforming. So what you have here is inflation, economics. These are all top priorities according to every single poll that's coming out. These are not outlier priorities. All voters are after is economic works, a reduction in inflation, help with the cost of living crisis. And abortion never seems to score more than around 7 or 8%. And yet what you have is a Democratic Party, a congressional Democratic Party, that is determined to try and make the centerpiece of their entire campaign, their last ditch for power, by focusing on abortion. That is, let's be fair, I mean, it's important to many, many people for many reasons, but in terms of electoral importance, it's a fringe issue. And yet they're still focused on it. And what I wanted to look into was, why are they wedded to this when the pollsters, their strategists, even Bernie Sanders is calling out to his Democrat friends and saying, you need to look at the economy. And that's Bernie Sanders. And if he's got it, why haven't they? And that's what I wanted to look into.
So, okay, but let's be fair here. I mean, when it became apparent that the Supreme Court was going to overturn Roe v. Wade, that was very controversial. It elicited a lot of emotions. There were protests, a lot of them violent. None of them have been arrested for that, but that's
mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful
attacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
about 100, I believe now.
Exactly. And Democrats have been trying to leverage this issue. But do you think it's at least had some impact on what might happen in November? Or?
Well, that's the thing. So abortion, it's a very animating issue. It's something that people feel viscerally on both sides. Although I can see why one side would feel viscerally about it, because one side considers it the murder of the unborn. The other side, I guess they really just want to kill babies. I'm not sure why that would animate them quite so much. No, of course, I'm being facetious. They see it as, it's an infringement upon personal liberty or privacy. But my guess is that the issue there, when it came out, when it was leaked initially from the Supreme Court and then obviously followed up with the ruling from the court, I think it peaked too early. So here's the deal. If it landed in October, for example, this very month, an October surprise, it'd be a completely different story, because Joe Biden and the Democrats, they could ride the fire and fury of that fundraising issue all the way through to election day. And of course, with the media coverage around it as well, it would be wall to wall. It would be huge, and it would have made a huge difference. But it peaked too early. It came out too early, and perhaps whoever leaked the initial draft opinion realized that themselves too. Who knows? We still obviously do not have an answer on who leaked that draft opinion, right. Which the full resources in it can be one of 8 people or something, or 9 people, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting that you bring that up, because when this whole thing first hit, when that draft opinion was leaked, I went, and in the conversations I was having, I was making that same contention. I was like, yeah, this is going to be a serious issue for a while, but by the time we get closer to the midterm elections, it's going to wear off. Our attention span is very American. So I knew that at a certain point, the economy was going to come right back and be the number one issue. And you weren't exaggerating when you said every poll says that it's the number one issue. I mean, even among women who are supposed to be really radical about abortion, right? According to what we're told by the activist media.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. So why aren't Democrats speaking to the concerns that the American people are telling them they have?
Right. That's the question that I was trying to get to in the article I put out on libertynation.com. But for me, what I perceive to be the biggest sin in politics, and I'm not alone in this, this isn't just my opinion, it's what most people seem to think, is that not listening to your constituents. Now, that's the same in the US, in the UK. It's a worldwide trend. If you don't listen to your constituents, then you're going to be punished at the ballot box. So that begs the question, doesn't it? Why are the Democrats, why are they committing the cardinal sin of politics? Now, it could be because of ideology, as in they believe that aborting a baby is the most important thing. And so they've wedded themselves heart and soul to that idea, and economy be damned, right? So that's the one thing, the ideology. But it could also be that it's all they have left. And I think that's the more likely element. So if you look at their performance on the issues that the voters do say time and time again are important, the economy, the border crisis, you can't campaign with the track record that this Congress and this president has on inflation, on the economy, cost of living, the border. You can't campaign on that and appear a serious person, let alone a serious politician. So what do they have left? They go to abortion because it's a dividing line between the two parties, and it's the only thing that they can stake a claim to, that they have, and they have obviously been at the forefront of the abortion debate for pushing for a right to abort within the United States for many years. They've been at the forefront of that. So that's something that they can campaign on, because they can't campaign on the things they've actually been doing, because they just wouldn't look serious.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, exactly. And but they also have January 6th. Don't forget about that. I mean, that's something to campaign on too. But
again, back to the point, right? They shot it too early. They spent that currency too early, so that they're subpoenaing Donald Trump. But it's a subpoena to appear before Congress that will likely not exist by the time he gets round to answering that subpoena.
Yeah, exactly.
The people who are on it, especially from his party that made it, I quote, bipartisan, Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, well, they're not going to be on that Congress anymore. So they're not going to be part of the thing. And they might end up with, I mean, if he does decide to go and sit for the subpoena, they might end up with Jim Banks on the...
Yeah.
And that would be a whole different kettle of fish in terms of the thing. But yeah, again, the January 6th, they spent that currency too early, I think.
Yeah. So there's a pollster named Stan Greenberg that did an interview with Politico, and he said that they should be that the Democrats are making a messaging mistake when they try to tout their achievements in Congress, which, as you said, hasn't been all that much. But he said they should focus on how things are going to help them in the future. But what's your take? I mean, do you think that they still have a chance to turn this around if they improve their messaging, or is the die cast at this point?
Well, I mean, at the time we record here, Jeff, that there's not much time to go to turn around their messaging. Now, bear in mind that the Democratic Party, they've had the Fourth Estate firmly in their court for the entirety of Joe Biden's presidency, and let's be honest, for 4 years before that. And so any messaging strategy that they want to get across must have to come through the media that has been doing pretty much all it can do to help them already, whether that involves twisting the message, which they have done. It's fairly obvious, or omitting certain things, which they have done, knock Hunter Biden laptop. And so to try and turn it around at this late stage in the game, no, in terms of the midterms, absolutely not. There's nothing they can really do except watch it all play out. There might be a very, very late October surprise, but it would have to be of historical magnitude to make a difference, I think, Jeff.
Yeah, that's how it's turning out. But like we said, we're less than 2 weeks. So you and I are going to be busy, very busy pretty soon. So I'm sure we'll circle back like Psaki after this whole thing is done and over with. But until then,
if I might point out, Jeff, that people should be watching the election night coverage on libertynation.com when those results roll in, because we have something very special lined up there. Thank you, Miss Psaki.
Yeah, yes, and it's going to be epic. But I'll have to chat with you afterwards. But thanks for joining the program.
Very welcome. Thank you.
And remember, the show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news and analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Just go to LibertyNation.com on your browser, or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thank you so much for watching. This program is a production of LibertyNation.com, where truth is making a comeback.
Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5. Produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone. Hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner. Joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors. Deconstructing leftist narratives. Debating the hot topics. And remembering to laugh. Join the official conservative safe space.
You only did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.